Hi, I'm Rob, and today we're at the Miners' Arms in Funtley. So the Miners' Arms is a 19th century pub, and it was run by a chap called Henry Feast, who was the landlord in about 1841. He used to leave his wife and his daughters to run the pub while he went to dig the tunnel for the railway. Anyway, we head this way towards Lakeside. So we turn into Lakeside and then we turn right into the close. Alternately, from the other end of the pub you could have just come down this path, and we follow the path along. You see the lake here, and then follow it in an anti-clockwise direction. So it's a lovely lake now, run by the Portsmouth angling people, but originally it was a clay pit. And from the clay pit they made bricks. There was a brick kiln, and bricks were Fareham Reds and Fareham Blues, they were called. But the Fareham Reds, they were sold widely, and the Royal Albert Hall in London is made of bricks that came from the bottom of this lake, which, as I say, was a clay pit before. So it's the Romans that first made bricks in the 5th century, and then when they left they weren't made again until the Normans invaded in the 11th century really, and they imported their bricks from Flanders until eventually they found these clay places where they could make British bricks. So we haven't really been making things out of bricks for that long, 1,000 years really. Anyway, Funtley, known for ironworks and for the brick kilns and the clay pits, and the name Funtley, or Fontley as some locals call it, it came from the Anglo-Saxon Funtley, which means a clearing with a spring in it. Yeah, at this point we take this path off into the houses. So we've come out the path and we've turned left and then right again to follow the road round. Back out at Funtley Social Club we turn right. Now this until 2018 was the little church of St Francis. It was built in 1836 as the community school, and then Trinity Funtley Church, or Trinity Funtley Church as it was called then. As I say, it was then Little Church of St Francis, but closed in 2018. So I carry on under the M27. So Fareham Business Centre used to be the board school, built in 1880. So we've walked all up under the motorway, round the bend, and when you reach Highlands Road, turn right. So we're right at the southernmost portal of the Fareham Railway Tunnel. Now that was built in 1841. In actual fact it's two tunnels. The first tunnel collapsed pretty much immediately, so they gave up on it, and they built the second tunnel, which also collapsed by the summer of 1841. So they gave up on that as well for a little while, and they made a 2-mile deviation line, which we're going to follow shortly. That too had its problems with landslips. They kind of got over the problem of collapses in the tunnel by making it double track to single track, so the carriages wouldn't bump the sides of the tunnel if it caved in a bit more. But it's been an ongoing problem right up through to about 2020. They were shoring up the tunnel in different ways because of the clay that the tunnel is bored through. It's notoriously unstable clay. So you can see how wide the cutting is that goes into the tunnels, because there were two entrances there at one point. Eventually we get to part of the deviation line which we're going to follow. So the deviation line would have started on the Fareham to Eastleigh branch line and come up through here, which is completely overgrown and built on now. But if you cross over the road to the deviation line car park, but we're going to go down here because this is the start of the walkable track bed. This was the main line to London from Portsmouth. I say from Portsmouth, the station for Portsmouth was actually Gosport, and then there's a station at Alverstoke as well. The railway didn't actually reach Portsmouth until well after this railway was completed. Anyway, this railway opened in 1841 up to the tunnel, and then of course they had the problems with the tunnels, so they had to find a fix. The fix was the deviation line that opened in 1897. And it was open, surprisingly, until 1973, before it was closed down. In 1906 the tunnel was made single track, so it made it a little bit easier to get through and not worry too much about the landslips that were happening either side of it. It gave the trains a bit more clearance going through. So as I say, this line, it allowed trains to go all the way from Alverstoke, where Queen Victoria would have got on the train. She'd have trundled up through, along through the deviation line here, out through to Eastleigh, and then onto the London South Western Main Line up to Waterloo. A couple of branch lines off of this line that closed down in the Beeching area. That's the Bishop's Waltham branch line, which used to go to Bishop's Waltham, and the Meon Valley line that went to Alton. So let's follow in the tracks, quite literally, of Queen Victoria. So it feels more like a railway now, it's closed in a bit. So not much in the way of old artefacts at the moment, but these look like some of the original sleepers. All the hawthorn in bloom. So that's a good job it did close in 1973 really, because the motorway cuts right across its course. So that would have been a lot of expensive engineering. So on the other side of the motorway, ignore the footpath off to the left and the iron gate sort of to the left, and follow the main path down this way. So quite a high embankment on this part of the line. Now this line suffered as well with its landslips, mainly in the cuttings, possibly bits on the embankment as well, but as I say, being on clay it shifts all the time. So crossing over the old railway arch. So you can see the line down in the dip there. We're coming close up to its junction with the old line of 1841, as we'll be able to see from a bridge up here. And that's where it would have joined the line. And then soon you come to the footbridge over the railway. So as you can see, it's rejoined the old line from 1841, which now runs through that tunnel that collapses. And it's single track, as I say, that was a result of the unstable tunnel. It was designed as double track. And over this side, lovely view of a nice railway arch up there. So once you cross the bridge, don't carry straight on, take a right hand turn to go back alongside the railway again. There's really some lovely countryside just north of Fareham and north of the M27. train signal on the 1841 line. Well, that's not a footpath over there, but it doesn't stop the locals. Lovely bit of bird song through there. Richmond Cottage, very pretty. So walk up here, joins the main road, and we're back at the Miners' Arms. So there we are, back at the Miners' Arms, and I'm ready for a nice latte coffee. How about you? What do you want?
Oh, nice cup of tea, please.
Hello then. Hello. Gorgeous, aren't you? You want to wander off on the road? Anyway, we're going to have a cup of coffee. So here we are, got a nice cup of coffee, complimentary biscuit, and yeah, nice walk again. The first bit is a bit sort of suburban, but bear with it because it gets lovely. It's about 3.5 miles, so a nice, easily doable one for many of you. And anyway, nice to be able to come in a pub and have a cup of coffee. If you like the walk, then please like and subscribe, and perhaps I'll see you on the next one.